In today's session, let's see how to use the database connectors in Mulesoft. We'll try to create database configuration and connect to MySQL DB. And we'll see how to insert a data to the database. And also we'll try to retrieve the data from DB. And after retrieving, we'll see how to do the response mapping. Prerequisite for this is we need to have some database server running and the connection details so that we can connect to the database. In today's session, I'm going to use MySQL server and I have a database and table details. We'll use the same to write the data and also to read the data from tables. Here we can see that I have a connection details for MySQL server. I have the details of username, password, port, and everything. So we'll use these details to connect to the database server from Mulesoft. So in my system, you can see that MySQL server is running. If you don't have any server database servers, you can download MySQL server based on your software OS you have. You can go and download the community edition. You can download the installer and just run the exe here, and which will install the servers in your system. You can see that I already have MySQL available and installed in my system. So it's already running. So let's try to connect to the same and do the database operations from Mulesoft. Let's see the connection details. I'm using MySQL Workbench it's an UI for database operation. So here we can see the connection details. We have host, port, username and password. To set the password, there are commands available. So you can use the same to set the password to root user. And let's try to test the connection. Let's give the password because I have already said it's successful. I have already set the password. So remember the username and password and other details for the connection. Let's use the same and connect from Mulesoft project. I already have a Mulesoft project that I have created in last session by using API specification, demo train information. Yeah, I just imported the API specification and created the project. And in this we have two flows, get trains, which will get the list of trains. And in last session, we have seen how to get the list of trains. We have called internal API and done the changes. In today's session, let's see how to post the train information. Let's assume we have some new train and the details of the train available. So we will have to write these details to DB. So today we will work on this. We will create a post trains API and post the train information. And on success, we will get success response. Let's look at post trains API. Since we have created this project by importing the API specification, the post trains workflow is already created. Just run the project and let's see what response we are getting. Post trains is a workflow using which we can write the details of the trains to this database. Let's check the details of the listener. It's listening to localhost 9081. So let's go and call the API. Let's create a new request. Post trains workflow. It's a post API call. It's listening to localhost 9081. Localhost 9081. Let's look at the API path. It's API. API slash it trains workflow. So trains is the path. Trains is the resource. Let's copy it. And it's a post API. Let's wait for the deployment. Application is deployed. Let's run the API. Let's call the API and see what we get. We are getting bad request. We know what's missing because as per the API specification, we had to pass headers, client ID and secret. But in this, we are not passing it. So let's add the required headers, client ID and client secret. API kit router is doing the validation, so we must fill all the necessary details. It's unsupported media because we need to pass request body as well, because since we want to post the trains details, we need to pass trains information as a request body. Let's pass JSON information trains. Yes, we are getting success. We just copied the request body from API specification and called the server. It's success. API kit router is doing the validation. And in post trains, we are not calling any database, or we are not doing any operation. It's the response that we are getting is hard coded payload. Now we are successfully able to eat and able to get the successful response. Now let's create. Now we will have to create the database operations. Let's check the. Sorry. Let's check the database and the tables details. I have train info's database and trains is a table. Let's check what is there in the table. We don't have any rows in the trains table. So let's use this insert query, insert into train table, and we'll have to insert all this information, origin, destination, train name and others. And here the values are hard coded. Let's run this and see if we are able to insert a row successfully. Yes, we are able to insert successfully. So from Mulesoft also we will use the same insert query and try to insert the trains information. In the request body we are passing the trains information. Let's assume if you have new train information and want to write the details to the DB, you can do that. Let's change the information. Train number Chennai, Bangalore. Chennai to Bangalore it is. Let's use unique data. We have a new train information available. Let's write this information to the DB, train table. Okay, let's go to Mulesoft and we have a connector for database operations. Let's use the pre-built connectors. Now we want to insert the data, so let's pick the insert connector. The connector is imported. Click on this. We will have to tell the database connection details. Let's rename this insert trains information. We have not yet created any database configuration. Let's create the database configurations, and we will have to select the connection based on the type of the DB we have. I want to connect to MySQL, so based on your the database servers you are using, you can select. Generic you can select. Here is where you can give URL, driver name, database driver name, username, password, and other details. I am selecting MySQL connection because I am going to use MySQL server. So here we can go and check the connection details. We already have all the connection details that we need to connect to database. Let's use the same. Localhost, port is 3306. Root is a user, and also I have the password set, and we need to have a Maven dependency for MySQL JDBC driver. Let's add the dependency. So this will be added to our form file. So let's finish. Now the database connection details are updated. Let's click on OK. Now the system knows which server to connect, and it has all the details needed for the connection. We have some errors. SQL statement is missing. So we know we already have an insert query. So let's copy the insert query and paste the exact same query. All the details here, the values are hard-coded values. We will have to change these, replace these hard-code values with real values. Let's create input parameters so that we can use the same in the query. We need the train information. So let's create input parameters for the same. We have all the train information data coming in from payload. So when we call the post trains API, the trains information is getting passed from the request body, which is a payload. So left side we can see payload has the information of trains, right? Departure date, train number and everything. Here the request body, what we are passing while calling the trains, post trains information. The request body we have is available here at the left side. We can see the details of the payload, headers, end query params, everything. Because now we have created the project from the API specification, so it knows what are the inputs, what are the attributes and other details. So let's get the train details from payload. Let's pick the values from payload dot. We can see the available options. Train number, next is origin. From is the origin, to is a destination. Let's create input parameter for all the values that we need in the SQL query. Departure time, departure date and departure time. We'll have to we need to have the arrival time as well. EE time, let's pick it from the payload. And additionally, we have a created date time to indicate when this train data is created, right? When we insert the train information to the DB, we will have to let them know when exactly these details are created. Now is a function which gives current date time. So let's check in the data view playground what data we will get for new now function. Now function will give the current date time in UTC time zone. Now the inputs are ready. So let's replace the hard-coded values. Let's copy train number, input parameter colon, and the respective variable, because we have all the input parameters already defined below. So let's use the same colon and the respective variables. Let's copy it outside. Next is departure date colon and the variable. Departure time it is D time. I have missed the colon. Arrival time. And next is created date time, which is giving the current date time. Now we'll give the information in current time zone, which is UTC. Now we'll give the date time in UTC time zone. Okay, now we have, okay, we are missing via. Let's add that as well. Let's save it. Now the insert query is completed and we have replaced all the hard-coded values with the input parameters that we are reading from the payload, the request body of post trains API. So let's save it and wait for deployment. Yes, the application is deployed. Let's run the API and see what we get. We are getting the payload back. We are not getting the success response. I think something is going wrong. I think we have some exception. Let's go and check. Yes, we have an exception. Query. There is something wrong in the query that we have created. Let's read the error. The error is at create date time. We are using now function to get the current date time, but the execution is failed because in incorrect string value. So now we'll give the data in date time format. So let's convert that to string. Now convert datetime as string, because the database field that create datetime field will accept string, not datetime. So let's convert the value as string, save it. Let's wait for the deployment. It's deployed. Let's run the application again. Let's run the API and see. Yes, now we are getting the success response. So let's go and check whether we have the latest data in the table. Yes, we can see the 500 Bangalore to Chennai, right? So the insert workflow is successful. We are able to successfully do the insert database operation and write the train information to the DB. So let's write some other table. Let's change the train number 400 and change the origin and destination and run the API again. Now we should be able to see the train number 400. Yes, we have. Yes, we are successfully able to insert the data to the database. Right? We can see the details, the latest details. Yes. Yeah, we have created a insert. We have used insert database connector. Just created the configuration details, query, and the input parameters needed. We are picking the details from the request body payload and using the same in the insert query and writing the details to the database, which is working fine. And now let's try to get the details. We'll try to retrieve the data from this train table. We'll retrieve the train information when train number is something which we can pass from the query parameter. The API, let's check for 100. Yes, we are able to retrieve the information for train number 100. So let's do this operation from Mulesoft project. So let's create one more API. Let's duplicate this and create the new API that we want to create. It's a get operation because we want to get the train information for particular train number. Let's add a query parameter. Train number, and let's pass 100 here or 400. And we don't need any request body or anything because it's a get operation and we don't need client ID and secret or anything. So we just want to create an API, something like this, to get the train information for the particular train number. So let's go and create the new API. Let's click on new configuration, mule configuration. New mule configuration. Let's name it get train. Let's get train info. Finish. New mule configuration file is created. Let's use a new HTTP listener and we should be able to listen to 9080 port. We already have a configuration available, so let's use the same. We already have the configuration. Let's check the configuration details and which port it's listening. Yes, it's the same one we have used previously. So let's use the same configurations. Click on OK and let's go to the HTTP listener and define the path. We need to have API/train as path. Let's save it. And in this case, we want to retrieve the data from database. So let's use select database connector. Let's use the existing database connection because even here we are connecting to the same MySQL instance. So let's use the same connection details. And here the input parameter is we need to have the train number because we need to query based on the train number. So let's create input parameter for train number, which we are getting from the attributes. So query parameters will be available inside attributes. If you go to the API, we can see that its train number is a query parameter. So that we can access from attributes. Attributes. You can check the left side. Query param is available inside attributes. Yes, we can see the query params, right? Attributes dot. You will get the available options. Just select that and let's give the name of the query params. Train number is the, yes, it's the name of the query parameters. Let's copy paste it. Done. Now we have the input parameters. So let's copy the SQL query. We'll have to use the select SQL query. Just copy the same and replace the hard-coded value, colon, and the input parameter, train number, that we have defined below. Let's copy paste. Now we have the select query, selecting the information from train table where the train number is given from the query params. Let's use a transfer message so that we can see the payload. When we query the data from the table, the output will be saved. Yeah, once we run the select query, the output we will get in the form of payload. We can see the output value is payload. So here let's print the payload. So as soon as we get the response by running the SQL query, we will get the payload and let's print the same payload. So run the application. Yes, we are getting the train information specific to 400, right? We are querying for the train number 400. We got the response. Let's change it to 500 and run the API. Yes, we are getting the respective data. So let's go to the post trains API and add a new train. Let's assume we have a new train and from India, from US to India, let's assume we have a new train. Let's write these details to the DB, and next time from get API we'll try to get these details for try number 10. Yeah, it's success. Now let's query for 10 and see if we are getting the proper response. Yes, it's US20 IDs. Let's give the random value for try number. We don't have any train for this try number. So let's go to Mulesoft and do the response mapping. Let's say what we should display when the payload is empty. So let's check if payload is blank, is empty. Is empty is a function which checks whether the payload is empty or not. If the payload is empty, let's give some message. No records found for the given try number. If payload is not empty, let's print the payload as it is. Save it. Save it, let it get deployed. Yes, it's deployed. Let's run the API. This time we should get some proper message when the trains are not available. Yes, no records found. So yeah, this way we have seen both post and get trains. We have done the insert operation and also the select operation from database. We have used those connectors, and you can use the update or delete database connectors based on the requirement. Thank you.